with all of that, I guess if you haven't already guessed it, I am inviting you to reflect on safe spaces today. What they mean, how we remember them, how we forget about them, and how we might recreate them together in community like this. This is often a deeply personal journey, but it's also essential to how we care for ourselves, how we care for one another. And safe spaces aren't just for human beings. Remembering them can take root in ecological contexts too, whether you're a person or a squirrel or even a mushroom. So bear with me. Let's think back to our meditation, the first one, when I had you guys bring to mind a safe space. What was it like for your body to live in that memory? Did your mind recall every single detail? Who here remembers every single detail of the safe space they were thinking of? Every single one? Who here thinks that they remember the most details about their safe space out of everybody in the room? All right, we have a lot of humble folks here. Who here may have forgotten some of the details? I'm hoping for a good deal of hand raises here. Okay, thank you for being honest with yourselves and helping me make a point here that in recalling a memory of your safe space, you may be wondering to yourself in that meditation, what exactly was that squirrel doing next to that tree I was sitting up against in that park that I think was called Great River Falls, or maybe it was called Glendalough State Park, or was it even a squirrel, or was it a cat, or did it even happen, or who was there with me? How much am I making this up? Of course, it's ridiculous to try and remember every detail, even the details of our most cherished memories. Of course we don't remember every detail. Remembering every detail is both impossible and maybe even not that important. And unexpectedly, as memory starts to blur, as those vivid images of safe spaces fade into these vignettes and shift over time, sometimes they become even more cherished, even more precious. It's kind of weird how that happens. Maybe you have a friend or an uncle who tells the same story year after year at Thanksgiving or a holiday, and with each telling, a new, slightly more magical, more dramatic detail emerges or gets added in. That kind of nostalgic distortion, it's not just charming, it's not just accidental, it's actually rooted in our biology, which I'm going to dive into later in this reflection. But for now, what I want you to hold on to is this. Getting too caught up in the exact details of safe spaces can pull us away from what truly matters. What truly matters is how those spaces make us feel. So, calling to mind a safe space, regardless of how precise that memory is, can create a small oasis within us. It gives us permission for our bodies to rest, to soften, to settle into a sense of belonging with ourselves, even just for a moment. And memory lives not in the accuracy of these details, but in our cellular makeup, in the ways that our bodies remember what it feels like to be safe. And cultivating this kind of cellular memory is a powerful way to reconnect with ourselves, with those we love, with our communities, with the earth, even when the specifics can escape us. So as you heard in Mary Oliver's Trout Lily, our wisdom moment for today, Oliver is also struggling to remember all of the details of her safe space. So we know it's in the forest near the creek with the trout lilies behind her house that she lived in when she was a child. When she brings it up, she's recalling it with some distance. She's referring to her child self almost in observation, describing, "If she spoke to them, I don't remember what she said. And if they kindly answered, it's a gift that can't be broken by giving it away." I found that particular line, "It's a gift that can't be broken by giving it away," the most thought-provoking about that poem. And I found it provoking because it was confusing to me why it was considered a gift to forget what Mary Oliver's younger self might have heard from the trout lilies. Wouldn't the memory be even more beautiful if we knew exactly what they said? Or is it something sacred to forgetting the details and allowing the trout lilies to hold a secret message, one that even Oliver with age can no longer recall? It's in that transformation when our memories shift from these clear, factual accounts into these hazy vignettes that something deeper emerges. When the edges blur and the figures in our past take on a sort of watercolor texture, and the simple account of Oliver next to the creek becomes symbolic. The trout lilies in Oliver's poem are those alluring secret keepers that, by virtue of being locked away in childhood memory, over time can transform from trout lilies into seers or prophets. In this way, memory is not about accuracy. It thrives on that vagueness, on revision, on the mystery that it keeps to itself. So I kind of remember these vignettes in childhood, wandering through little patches of nature. Maybe you do too. As a young girl, I remember playing with my best friend Jenny in the little forest behind my backyard. And even though the forest was pretty small, we could create these really massive imaginary worlds for ourselves. Sometimes we'd play hide and seek. Sometimes, embarrassed to admit, we would reenact scenes from Harry Potter or serenade the flowers with Coldplay songs, whatever cringy things or phases that we were going through at the time. Other times we'd pluck mushrooms, fallen leaves, squiggling worms, tiny twigs, and taking great delight in arranging them around bark plates to make mud pizzas for our friends. And our friends could be anybody from the tadpoles we were scooping up with our hands, or any given stick or rock that had a strangely human-like feature. Or honestly, I don't even really specifically remember who our friends were. But I know that their spirits dwelled in the life that surrounded us. The acorns, the mushrooms, the rocks, the trees, and all the things that were lingering around our scenes of play. These were characters that had this kind of age-old prudence to them, and how they chimed into our discussion. And what lied completely beyond our imagination, then and now, was that this world, in fact, did talk back to us. And not just in some imaginary way. We weren't just feeding our mud pizzas to the squirrels and the birds. This mud pizza that we made was fated to also be feasted on by tiny bugs, and even tinier fungi, and even tinier microorganisms that digest and process flesh of decaying bark and rock. Now, obviously, mud pizza tastes really, really bad, and it's medically not edible to humans, and I don't recommend eating dirt or worms. But boy, I really relish in these memories with Jenny. I almost enjoy these memories as if I'm recalling eating real pizza. And it wouldn't matter if I recalled every detail of that pizza edible or not, because even if I could, I wouldn't even know half the creatures who were present for said feast. It doesn't matter. The joy that remains from the memory of this experience eating mud pizza infuses my present life with an overwhelming sense of joy and innocence that has the power to carry me through my day. And even if I really did strive to get to the bottom of what was really going on behind the scenes of mud pizzas with Jenny, it's almost impossible to really imagine how many little beings eventually did feast on this pizza when we did not. Mycologists, those are mushroom scientists, estimate that you can find on average 70 miles of mycelial networks, those are fungal networks, in just a pound of soil. Just think of that, it's like a pound of coffee. Some might argue that the little hyphae capping the tips of these networks have such sensitivity, such spatial intelligence, such conscience, and rapid ability to exchange information with other networks, that they are comparable to the minds of animals, including our own. These are mysteriously sentient networks that can expand up to 7 square miles within one organism, up to hundreds, sometimes thousands of square miles across mycelial biomes. Crazy, beyond anything we could imagine. And imagining the intelligence and the ubiquity of fungi almost feels as impossible as that task I asked you to do in the first place, is accurately piecing together memories of our childhood. Fungi are regenerators, recyclers, networkers that stitch our worlds together, but our memories do that too. Memories are safe spaces. They're providing whole networks of information in our minds that restore us and form the fabric of our worlds, even if they're still beyond our comprehension. Memories of playing outside as a kid are etched into our mind by feelings of soil under our nails, or the razor bite and the scraping of knees. These are the kinds of memories that get increasingly difficult to come by when that sterile adulthood creeps in. So throughout our adult lives, safe spaces can often echo the sentiments of childlike joy that often can feel a little bit too out of reach. These are childhood memories that are slipping into those parables, but they can be preserved flawlessly in our bodies, even while being chiseled and eroded over time. They're more than just physical locations, right? They can be imagined, but they can also represent times where we felt secured, loved, free to be our authentic selves. When we're doing okay and life is good, remembering a safe space isn't something we have to try really hard to recall. Our muscles, our nervous systems, even our heartbeats are attuned to our intake of sensation. And when those sensations are distilled into an experience, those safe spaces imprint onto our bodies, just like how fungal networks stretch their fingers into the soil. The act of memory is embedded in our ancient biological history, but it is also critical for ourselves and feeling like we belong to this world. In many ways, mushrooms function like this massive memory store for the planet. And this indeed has some scientific grounded. Everything that mycelium digests, including ourselves, what we eat, what we waste, are stored in their stacks of DNA. They harvest our phosphorus, scores of other nutrients to use as bidding and nurturing tools for plants and other species. Imagine each moment of mycelial digestion sparking a tiny explosion of excitement or disgust or confusion when it's forming itself on how to best metabolize us and the world around it. This must be memory. This must be a kind of care we just don't really know the language of yet. And I want to acknowledge also that there are some details in both our personal and collective memory that must never be forgotten. To lose a memory of a loved one, their smile, the exact words of comfort they offered before passing, can sometimes feel more painful than the loss itself. On a larger scale, forgetting crucial details can accelerate the destruction of communities, of biomes, of species, of ecosystems. Though memory of human cruelty can never fully be erased, it's disturbing how persistently those in power try to obscure it. Some memories, paradoxically, become heavier the more we try to forget them. And you might be asking, we're talking so much about safe spaces in the world we live in. What safe spaces are actually remaining in physical life in a world that feels so fractured sometimes? Can we build new sanctuaries without erasing the memory of those we lost? The dreams deferred, the havens destroyed, the lives extinguished along the way? The more suffering the world endures, the harder it becomes to access a sense of safety, even within ourselves. Our memories of refuge, both personal and collective, are often fragile, incomplete. And yet, I wonder, might the earth remember for us? Might the soil, the trees, the ground beneath our feet hold the imprint of what we forget? Fungi, which takes up most of the planet's living mass, and arguably most of its relationships, most of its consciousness, perhaps remembers everything it touches, hears, consumes. Fungi's relationship with us is as old as time, and yet it also feels startlingly new, full of untapped potential, at least with what we know about it. To connect with it, though, we have to slow down. Cole Arthur Riley writes, memory is frail. It requires a delicate touch, a tenderness. It's asking us to pause, to sit in the gentle quiet of our thoughts, so that the safest, most loving moments we've lived in can surface, woven out of muscle and breath, to replenish and restore us. To nurture a tender relationship with our safest memories is to equip ourselves with the strength to face the darkest paths, the darkest parts of our histories, both personal and collective. In times of stress and uncertainty, we have the ability to root ourselves in those remembered spaces of safety, returning to them not just in thought, but in body, drawing from that deep well of peace that they can provide. The exact details don't really matter. We've acknowledged memory will fail us always, inevitably, but our bodies are the things that are going to hold what we cannot name. Within us are cellular networks, wisdom grown over millennia, that store memory in ways we may never fully understand. And when we allow ourselves to rest in those remembered sanctuaries, sometimes we can feel that vast, quiet presence. Perhaps what's most profound is not just that we're connected to them, but that they are just as deeply connected to us. So when I finish this reflection, I really truly hope you don't remember every word I've said. I do hope that you carry with you the warmth that may have arose in your body when I asked you to dive into your safe space today. I hope you remember that it exists not only in memory, but right here, right now. And that safe space exists with the millions of other safe spaces around the world, even when they feel impossibly far away.